When someone hurts you, your first instinct is to fight back. But remember, reacting in anger makes you a mirror. Responding with patience makes you a master. We've all been there. Someone said something cruel, unfair, or deeply painful. A friend betrayed your trust. A family member misunderstood your heart. And in that moment, your chest burned with emotion. The urge to defend yourself, to strike back, to prove them wrong. But my friends, life is not a battle of reactions. It's a test of responses. Because how you respond in pain reveals who you truly are in peace. Pain. It arrives uninvited, unannounced, and often undeserved. It knocks at the door of your peace when you least expect it. Sometimes it comes through the harsh words of someone you trusted, sometimes through betrayal, sometimes through silence that cuts deeper than any blade. In those moments, our natural impulse is to push back, to react, to defend. But the truth is, pain doesn't come to destroy us. It comes to teach us. It's not a punishment, it's preparation. It's not a curse, it's a classroom. Every person you meet becomes part of your training. Some teach you how to love, some teach you how not to. Some show you what peace feels like, others test if you can keep it. And when someone hurts you, it's not about them being cruel, it's often life's way of asking, how strong is your heart? How deep is your understanding? How patient is your spirit? We often look at pain as an enemy, but what if it's the most faithful teacher we'll ever have? You see, gold cannot shine without fire. A seed cannot grow without pressure. And a soul cannot evolve without pain. The difference between those who grow and those who crumble is simple. One sees pain as a trigger to react, the other as a teacher to reflect. When you see pain as a teacher, you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? You stop looking for someone to blame and start looking for what to build. Every painful moment holds a message, if only we pause long enough to hear it. The heartbreak that shattered you taught you resilience. The betrayal that scarred you taught you discernment. The silence that made you feel unseen taught you to find peace within yourself. Life uses discomfort to introduce us to ourselves. Without pain, we would never truly know what strength feels like. Without loss, we would never value love. Without challenges, we would never taste growth. Sometimes we think God is being unfair when He allows others to hurt us, but in truth, He's giving us the gift of spiritual depth. He's saying, you've mastered joy, now learn patience. You've known peace in calm, now find it in chaos. We think the lesson is about them, about how wrong they were, how cruel they were, but often it's about us. It's about learning to stand tall without bitterness, to feel deeply without losing faith, to forgive without losing boundaries. Pain refines your soul the way fire refines gold. It burns away ego, arrogance, and illusion, leaving behind only authenticity and humility. You realize that real peace is not the absence of hurt, it's the ability to stay calm while healing from it. The strongest hearts are not the ones that never break. They're the ones that break, learn, heal, and keep loving anyway. And maybe that's what life is trying to tell you through every moment of hurt, that your peace is not dependent on others behaving perfectly. It's found in your own response, in your choice to see meaning beyond the moment. You begin to understand that every insult, every disappointment, every act of unkindness is actually life chiseling you into who you're meant to be. When someone wounds your ego, they're polishing your patience. When someone challenges your faith, they're building your endurance. And when someone tests your heart, they're teaching you compassion. So instead of letting pain trigger your reaction, let it trigger your awareness. Sit with it. Listen to it. Ask what it's trying to show you. You may find that the person who hurt you was just a messenger delivering a divine lesson. Maybe you needed to learn when to let go. Maybe you needed to learn how to forgive. Maybe you needed to learn to rely less on people and more on prayer. Whatever it is, trust that it's part of your shaping. Pain doesn't define you, your response to it does. Every scar on your soul is not a symbol of damage, but of depth. Every tear that falls is watering the soil of wisdom. Every time you refuse to let bitterness take root, your heart grows a little stronger. You begin to see that patience is not passive, it's powerful. It means saying, I may be hurting, but I will not lose myself in this hurt. When you see pain as a teacher, you transform. You stop reacting to life and start learning from it. You stop cursing your storms and start dancing in the rain. Because when pain comes to test you, it's never to break you, it's to awaken you, to remind you that you are not here just to survive the hurt, but to grow through it. When someone hurts you, your heart races, your chest tightens, and your mind begins to create 1,000 arguments in your defense. You feel the surge of anger, the burning need to speak, to shout, to prove that you are right, that you are not to be disrespected. This, my friends, is the voice of the ego. The ego hates to lose. It hates to be misunderstood. It thrives on being seen, heard, and validated. But wisdom does not shout. Wisdom whispers. Wisdom says, be still. Wisdom says, you don't need to win this argument to keep your dignity. The ego reacts. It is impulsive, emotional, fragile. It needs control, and when it feels powerless, it panics. The moment you feel attacked, the ego steps forward and says, they cannot talk to me like that, they cannot treat me this way. And before you even realize it, you have surrendered your peace to prove your point. But wisdom doesn't chase validation. It doesn't need to win every battle, because it knows the real victory is peace of mind. There's a story I once heard of a monk who was insulted by a man in the marketplace. The man shouted at him, accused him falsely, and tried to humiliate him in front of the crowd. The monk simply stood, calm and silent, listening without reacting. Someone later asked him, how could you just stand there and take that insult? The monk smiled and said, if someone gives you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does the gift belong? You see, when someone throws anger at you, you have a choice to catch it or to let it fall. The ego always catches it. Wisdom always lets it pass. Ego says, fight. Wisdom says, flow. Ego says, prove them wrong. Wisdom says, don't let their noise disturb your inner music. When you react from ego, you're giving others power over your emotions. But when you respond with wisdom, you show that your emotions belong to you, not to anyone else. A reaction is like a spark in dry grass, quick, bright, and destructive. A response is like a candle, steady, measured, and full of light. When you learn to respond instead of react, you turn moments of chaos into opportunities for growth. You begin to see that not every comment deserves your energy, not every insult needs your attention. Some things are better left unanswered, because silence is also a response, and often the most powerful one. Ego is about me. Wisdom is about meaning. Ego asks, how do I look? Wisdom asks, what can I learn? Ego defends. Wisdom understands. Ego divides. Wisdom connects. And the world today is full of people reacting. On social media, in relationships, and daily conversations. We are quick to type, quick to speak, but slow to think, slow to breathe. We've confused loudness for strength and silence for weakness. But real strength lies in restraint, in the ability to stay calm when everything around you tempts you to explode. The wise know that reacting might make you feel good for a second, but it will make you feel empty later. Because deep down, after the noise fades, after the words are said, we realize we lost something more valuable. Our peace, our grace, our center. But when you respond with understanding, when you take a breath and choose calmness, you feel stronger afterward. You feel proud of yourself because you didn't let anger write your story. You chose clarity over chaos. There is immense power in a pause. That pause, the space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond, that's where wisdom lives. The longer you can hold that space, the freer you become. The person who can control their tongue in anger is not weak, they are mighty. The one who can smile in the face of insult is not afraid, they are free. Because they no longer need others to behave right for them to feel right. In your journey, you will meet people who provoke, misunderstand, and test your patience. Don't give them the satisfaction of pulling you out of your peace. Let your silence confuse their ego. Let your calmness make their anger look small. The loudest reaction is not always the most powerful. Sometimes it's the quietest smile that wins the moment. True wisdom is when you stop reacting to defend your ego and start responding to protect your peace. When you stop asking, how can I win this? And start asking, how can I grow through this? That's when you evolve. Because a wise heart knows that no argument, no insult, and no misunderstanding is worth losing your inner stillness over. So the next time your ego screams, react, pause, take a breath, smile inwardly, and remember, you don't need to prove your value to anyone who cannot see it. You don't need to explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. The ego fights to be seen, wisdom rests in being sure. Reacting may make you feel powerful for a moment, but responding makes you powerful for life. Let your strength be in your calm. Let your dignity be in your patience. Let your silence speak louder than your anger ever could. Because when you choose wisdom over ego, you don't just win the moment, you win yourself. Patience, a word so often misunderstood in our world today. We live in an age of speed where everything happens in an instant. Fast food, fast internet, fast answers. We've been trained to believe that waiting means losing, that slowing down means falling behind, that patience is not about sitting still and doing nothing. It's not about letting people walk over you. It's not about suppressing your feelings. True patience is strength under control. It's the art of staying calm when every part of you wants to react. It's choosing peace over impulse, grace over ego, understanding over anger. You see, there's a huge difference between weakness and patience. Weakness is when you stay silent because you're scared. Patience is when you stay silent because you're strong. Weakness comes from fear of confrontation. Patience comes from confidence in time. The weak react because they doubt that truth will surface. The patient wait because they trust that truth never stays hidden. Imagine a seed buried deep in the soil. It's dark, it's quiet, and there's pressure from all sides. But the seed doesn't panic. It doesn't dig its way out in frustration. It waits. It trusts the process. It lets time, water, and light do their quiet work. That's what patience looks like. It's not inaction, it's faith in motion. It's knowing that every season has its timing, and no storm can rush what's meant to bloom. When someone hurts you, when you're misunderstood, or when you're treated unfairly, your first instinct might be to defend yourself. But patience says, let time defend me. It whispers, I don't need to prove myself to those who cannot see my heart. Because truth is like the sun. You can cover it for a while, but eventually it shines through. Patience is that deep trust in divine timing. It's the strength to hold your peace while the world misunderstands your silence. And yes, it's hard. Patience doesn't feel heroic. It feels lonely sometimes. When you choose not to react, people might think you don't care. When you choose to stay calm, they might think you're weak. But what they don't realize is that patience is the highest form of power. The kind that doesn't scream but shines. The kind that doesn't destroy but endures. The kind that doesn't prove but prevails. Every moment of patience you practice builds something inside you. Emotional discipline, spiritual endurance, and inner strength. The impatient want control. The patient trust God's control. They know that whatever comes, comes for a reason. Whatever goes, goes for a reason. And that reason is always growth. Think about the people who inspire you. The ones who carry peace even in chaos. They didn't become that way overnight. They faced storms. They were provoked. They were hurt. But instead of reacting, they waited. They allowed life to shape them quietly. They realized that real maturity is not about how fast you move, but how still you can stay in turbulence. Patience doesn't mean letting people continue to hurt you. It means knowing when and how to respond, not reacting just to release emotion. It means protecting your peace, not your pride. When someone wrongs you, patience gives you the space to decide wisely. It allows emotions to cool, perspective to grow, and wisdom to speak. In that stillness, you often find the right response, one that heals, not harms. There's a story of a sage who was insulted repeatedly by a young man. Every time, the sage simply smiled. One day the young man asked, "Why don't you react to my insults?" The sage replied, "Because if a man brings a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does it belong?" That is patience, not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of emotion. In life, the most powerful people are not those who react quickly, but those who can wait peacefully. The lion doesn't roar at every noise in the jungle, it only acts when it must. It knows its strength and has nothing to prove. The same is true for you. Don't waste energy reacting to every small thing. Save your energy for what truly matters. Patience is your shield against regret. How many times have we said words we didn't mean, sent messages we shouldn't have, or made choices we later wished we hadn't? All because we couldn't wait to calm down. The fire of reaction burns fast, but the light of patience burns long. When you pause, you protect your peace. When you wait, you let wisdom lead. There's great beauty in restraint, the ability to pause in pain, to stay gentle in misunderstanding, to remain kind in cruelty. That's not weakness, that's divine strength. It's the strength that says, I don't need to win every battle, I just need to win my peace. So when life tests you, when people provoke you, when situations push your limits, remind yourself that patience is not about doing nothing. It's about doing the hardest thing, staying calm when you have every reason not to. It's holding on when you want to give up, forgiving when you want revenge, waiting when you want resolution. Patience doesn't change the situation instantly, but it changes you. It transforms your reactions into reflections, your anger into understanding, your pain into purpose. And when that transformation happens, you become unshakable, because the world no longer dictates your pace, your faith does. Patience is not a weakness, it's the quiet roar of the soul that says, I trust that everything will unfold as it should, not in my time, but in God's time. Forgiveness. A word so simple to say, yet so hard to live. It feels unfair sometimes, doesn't it? When someone hurts you, betrays you, or breaks your heart, every part of you resists the idea of forgiving them. The mind says they don't deserve it. The heart whispers, but I can't carry this anymore. Forgiveness is not about them deserving your mercy. It's about you deserving your peace. It's the bridge that takes you from pain to freedom, from bitterness to healing. When someone wrongs us, we often hold on to the pain as if letting go would mean letting them win. But forgiveness is not losing, it's releasing. It's saying, I will not let this wound define my future. You see, the pain someone causes you becomes a prison the moment you start replaying it in your mind. You think you're holding them captive in your anger, but really, it's your heart that's trapped. You replay the moment, you relive the words, you carry the heaviness. And slowly, without realizing, their actions begin to control your emotions. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks that prison. Not to set them free, but to set yourself free. Imagine walking through life carrying a heavy stone in your hand, day after day. At first you think you're proving a point by holding it, but after a while, your hand begins to ache, your arm begins to tire, and the weight drains your strength. That stone is resentment. Forgiveness is the moment you decide to drop it. The moment you say, I won't let your actions control my peace anymore. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because carrying resentment doesn't punish them, it poisons you. There's a saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The truth is, they often move on. They forget, they sleep peacefully while you lie awake revisiting the hurt. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting the lesson. It means releasing the emotional debt. You no longer let their actions live rent-free in your heart. You learn, you grow, and you let go. Forgiveness doesn't erase justice. It doesn't mean you invite people back into your life to hurt you again. It means you no longer allow their behavior to dictate your peace. It means you stop seeking revenge and start seeking release. You can forgive someone and still set boundaries. You can release the anger but still protect your space. Because forgiveness is not reconciliation, it's liberation. Think of the people who have wronged you deeply. A friend who betrayed your trust, a loved one who left you in silence, a stranger who judged you unfairly. Think of all the energy you've spent reliving those moments. Now imagine what would happen if you let go. Imagine how light your soul would feel if you stopped carrying their mistakes in your heart. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it changes your relationship with the past. It allows you to look back without bitterness, to remember without resentment. In faith, forgiveness is one of the greatest forms of strength. Even the divine teaches forgiveness, not because people deserve it, but because you deserve peace. When you forgive, you mirror grace. You rise above what was done to you. You become proof that love is stronger than hate, that peace is more powerful than pain. Forgiveness doesn't just heal relationships, it heals hearts, starting with yours. There's a story of a man who carried a list of everyone who had ever wronged him. Every time he remembered a new name, he wrote it down, keeping the paper close to his heart. Years passed, and he grew bitter, angry, and tired. One day, a wise elder asked him, "What are you carrying so tightly in your heart?" The man showed him the list. The elder smiled and said, "You're holding on to others, but they're not holding on to you." That's what unforgiveness does. It chains you to people who have long forgotten you. When you forgive, you break those chains. You stop bleeding from wounds that others never bothered to heal. You take your power back. You begin to heal. Not because the pain disappears, but because your perspective changes. You realize that forgiveness is not for them to feel better, it's for you to be free. And yes, forgiveness takes time. It doesn't happen in a day. It's a process of peeling away the layers of anger and hurt, until what left is compassion, not for their actions, but for their humanity. It's looking at the person who hurt you and realizing they acted from their own brokenness. It doesn't justify what they did, but it helps you understand that everyone acts from their level of awareness. Some hurt because they don't know how to heal. Some betray because they don't know how to love. When you forgive, you rise above that cycle. You stop letting pain reproduce pain. You start a new pattern, one of peace, growth, and grace. You become a living example of how light can come from darkness. You become proof that you can walk through fire and not smell of smoke. Forgiveness is not about saying it didn't matter. It's about saying it mattered, but it no longer controls me. It's not about pretending you weren't hurt. It's about acknowledging the hurt, learning from it, and choosing peace anyway. Because in the end, forgiveness doesn't just heal the wound, it transforms it into wisdom. When you forgive, you reclaim your joy, you reclaim your power, you reclaim your story. Because forgiveness doesn't change who they are, it changes who you become. Silence. It's one of the most misunderstood powers in the world. People often mistake silence for weakness, for fear, for surrender. But silence is not the absence of strength, it is the presence of self-mastery. When someone hurts you, insults you, or misjudges you, the easiest thing in the world is to speak back. The hardest thing is to stay still, to breathe, and to choose peace over pride. Silence is not the sound of defeat, it is the echo of wisdom. It's the choice to let truth speak in its own time, instead of forcing it on your own. When words fly in anger, they create wounds that no apology can fully heal. Words are like arrows. Once released, you cannot take them back. How many relationships have been destroyed? How many hearts have been scarred because someone couldn't stay silent in a moment of rage? Silence in such moments is not cowardice, it's courage. It's the strength to stop yourself from saying what might destroy what you value most. You see, silence has its own voice, one that speaks louder than words ever can. When you choose not to respond to provocation, your silence says, "I refuse to be dragged down to your level." When you walk away from drama, your silence says, "My peace is worth more than this argument." When you remain calm while others are shouting, your silence says, "I know my truth and I don't need to prove it." The world glorifies noise, constant opinions, constant reactions, constant defense. But the truly wise, the deeply peaceful, they know the power of silence. They understand that you don't need to respond to every accusation, or explain yourself to every misunderstanding. Truth does not need your defense. It reveals itself in time. If you are right, silence will protect you. If you are wrong, silence will teach you. Either way, silence serves your growth. There is a story of a saint who was wrongly accused of stealing from his own monastery. The villagers mocked him, and his fellow monks turned against him. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply continued his work day after day, quietly and peacefully. Months later, the real thief was caught. The villagers came back ashamed and asked the saint why he hadn't spoken up. He smiled and said, "Because truth has its own voice, it never needs mine." That is the power of silence, faith that what is real will always rise and what is false will always fall. When you master silence, you master yourself. You learn that not every battle is worth fighting, not every noise deserves your response. Some things are better left unanswered, not because you're indifferent, but because you value your peace more than your pride. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply, but you choose to handle it with grace instead of aggression. Silence also teaches you to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. When you stop speaking, you start hearing the quiet wisdom inside you. You start hearing the voice of faith, the whispers of clarity, the guidance of peace. Because sometimes when life gets loud, God speaks in silence. In the stillness of your heart, answers arrive that noise would never let you hear. But silence is not always easy. In a world that pushes us to respond, defend, and prove, staying silent can feel like surrender. Yet it's the strongest form of control. When you hold your words, you hold your energy. You conserve your strength. You avoid adding fuel to fires that are not yours to fight. The wise do not waste words on those committed to misunderstanding them. They let time, character, and truth do the speaking. Have you ever noticed that silence unsettles the guilty but strengthens the innocent? When someone is wrong, they expect a reaction, your anger, your defense, your explanation. When you remain calm, it disarms them. Your silence becomes your armor. It protects your dignity without ever raising your voice. It shows that your peace is not for sale. Think of the great people of faith, the ones who walked through betrayal, criticism, and pain. They didn't respond to every insult. They let their actions, their patience, and their truth speak. Because silence is not emptiness, it's full of meaning. It's full of restraint, full of grace, full of unseen power. And silence doesn't just protect you from others, it protects you from yourself. When you stay quiet in anger, you save yourself from regret. When you listen before you speak, you avoid misunderstanding. When you pause before you react, you make space for wisdom to step in. Silence gives birth to clarity, and clarity gives birth to strength. So the next time someone provokes you, pause. Before your tongue moves, let your heart breathe. Ask yourself, is this worth losing my peace for? Most times, the answer will be no, because silence is not a sign that you have nothing to say. It's a sign that what you could say isn't worth saying. Let your silence speak of your strength. Let it show that you are not here to prove yourself. You are here to protect your peace. Let it remind you that storms don't last forever. And when they pass, the quiet truth always remains. Silence, when used wisely, is not retreat. It's command. It's saying, I will not let noise pull me from my purpose. It's standing firm in faith that what's real doesn't need to shout, because in the end, silence isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of wisdom, time. It's one of life's greatest teachers, yet most of us never give it a chance to speak. When something hurts us, when someone betrays or misunderstands us, our first instinct is to act immediately, to fix it, to confront it, to prove our side of the story. We want resolution now, but time, my friends, has wisdom that no rush can replace. What you don't understand in the moment becomes crystal clear when you give it time. What anger blinds, patience reveals. Time reveals what reaction hides. In the heat of emotion, everything feels urgent. The world seems black and white. They're wrong, I'm right. The situation feels permanent, the pain feels personal. But with time, that storm softens. The fog clears. What once felt unbearable starts to make sense. That's the beauty of time. It doesn't erase truth, it exposes it. It shows you who was genuine and who was pretending. It reveals what mattered and what was just noise. And more than anything, it shows you that not everything deserves your reaction. Think about the last time you reacted in anger, that message you sent too quickly, those words you wish you could take back, that argument that escalated over something small. In that moment, your reaction felt justified. But later, when emotions cooled, you saw things differently. That's because emotion blurs judgment, but time brings clarity. Reaction rushes, time refines. And what time refine? No argument can undo. Life has a rhythm. Every truth has its season. Some truths arrive fast, others take years to unfold. When you react too soon, you interrupt that rhythm. You try to control what only patience can reveal. But when you step back and let time do its work, something miraculous happens. Situations start resolving themselves. People start showing who they really are. Answers appear without effort. Because time, unlike us, has no ego. Form of strength and the most misunderstood force on earth. People often think of love as soft, emotional, or weak. But love, true love, is power. It's the only thing that can transform hate without becoming hate, that can meet cruelty without becoming cruel. When someone hurts you, the easiest thing to do is to mirror them. If they shout, you shout. If they lie, you shut down. If they betray you, you build walls. But love chooses differently. Love says, I will not become what broke me. Love says, I will rise above, not sink below. It takes strength to love when you have every reason not to. It takes faith to keep your heart open after it's been wounded. It takes spiritual maturity to wish peace for someone who brought you pain. But that's where the true beauty of love lies. Not in how it is received, but in how it is given. Because love is not a transaction, it is a transformation. When you respond with love, even when it's not returned, you protect your soul from bitterness. You become proof that goodness doesn't depend on circumstances, it depends on character. There will be people who misunderstand you, take advantage of your kindness, and twist your intentions. Some will walk away without gratitude, others will stay but never appreciate your heart. You cannot control their behavior, but you can control your response. Every time you choose to respond with love instead of resentment, you reclaim your power. Because love is never wasted. Even when it doesn't change them, it changes you. It keeps your heart soft in a world that tries to harden it. Think about it, the sun shines on every surface, even the coldest stone. Some absorb the warmth, some reflect it away. But the sun never stops shining because of that. It continues to give because that's its nature. And that's how love should be. Not selective, not conditional, but faithful to its own essence. Don't stop being good just because others aren't. Don't stop being kind because someone mistreated you. Your love should reflect who you are, not who they are. There's a story of a farmer who planted seeds in a rocky field. Some seeds fell on good soil and grew strong, while others were scorched by the sun or eaten by birds. When asked why he continued planting in such hard ground, he smiled and said, "Because my duty is to sow, not to control the harvest." That's love, to give, to serve, to care, without always expecting a return. Because the act of giving itself is what makes your soul grow. When you respond with love, you don't deny the pain. You feel it deeply, but you choose not to let it define you. You choose to heal, not harden. That choice is sacred, because hate may look powerful for a moment, but love endures forever. The world has enough people reacting with anger, enough hearts closing in pain. Be the one who breaks the pattern. Be the one who turns hurt into healing. Be the one who chooses compassion over cruelty, not because it's easy, but because it's divine. Sometimes responding with love means walking away quietly. Sometimes it means praying for the person who hurt you. Sometimes it means staying silent when your pride wants to speak. Love is not always loud or poetic. Often it's quiet, humble, and unseen. But make no mistake, it is mighty. Every time you choose it, you shift the energy around you. You turn wounds into wisdom and heartbreak into holiness. Love doesn't always fix others, but it will always fix you. It will cleanse you of bitterness, free you from revenge, and fill you with peace. And over time, that peace becomes your protection. People who live in anger can't touch a heart that's anchored in love. Your calmness becomes their confusion. Your kindness becomes their mirror. Your forgiveness becomes their teacher. Because love disarms without fighting. Remember, responding with love doesn't mean letting people walk over you. It means setting boundaries without hatred. It means choosing peace without resentment. You can say no with grace. You can walk away with love. You can close a chapter without closing your heart. Because love is not about staying. It's about how you leave. It's about leaving with your dignity intact and your soul untouched by darkness. There's an incredible freedom that comes when you stop expecting love to be returned the same way you give it. Because then, you no longer love to get, you love to grow. You love because it's who you are. That kind of love is unbreakable. It survives betrayal, misunderstanding, and rejection. It's rooted not in ego, but in faith. Faith that every act of love adds light to the world, even if no one sees it. When you choose to love instead of react, to forgive instead of hate, to serve instead of spite, you become unstoppable. You move through the world untouchable by negativity. You realize that love is not just something you give, it's something you are. So when someone hurts you, respond with love. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. Because your heart deserves peace, not poison. Because your soul deserves light, not darkness. Because love, even when it's not returned, never fails. It never goes to waste. It always multiplies, maybe not in them, but always in you. Let your response be love. Let your strength be kindness. Let your victory be peace. Because the moment you choose love over reaction, you step out of the storm and into grace. You stop mirroring pain and start reflecting light. And that, my friends, is the greatest strength of all, to love when the world gives you every reason not to. My friends, in this journey of life, you will be tested not by the moments that go your way, but by the moments that don't. People will hurt you, misunderstand you, doubt you, even betray you. And in those moments, your reaction will define your direction. Remember this: storms don't destroy the mountain, they only wash away the dust that hides its strength. Every hurt, every disappointment, every heartbreak is polishing your soul, preparing you for something higher. When someone wounds you, respond with patience. When life delays you, respond with trust. When love is not returned, respond with more love, because your response is your offering to God. It's not about being perfect, it's about being peaceful. It's not about winning against others, it's about winning over yourself. Choose faith when it's hard. Choose grace when it's painful. Choose peace when it's tempting to fight. Because the world doesn't need more reaction. It needs more reflection. It needs more souls who can stay calm in chaos. More hearts that choose compassion over conflict. More people who understand that silence, forgiveness, and love are not signs of weakness. They are the signs of divine strength. So as you move forward, carry this truth in your heart. Every act of patience is a prayer. Every moment of forgiveness is a victory. Every response of love brings you closer to God. Don't let the pain of others change who you are. Let it deepen who you are. Don't let the world make you bitter. Let it make you better. And remember always, the one who controls their reaction controls their destiny. When someone hurts you, don't let it harden your heart. Let it strengthen your spirit. Because in the end, love always wins. Always